This week's Parsha is a really important one. It's Parshat VaYechi, the very final one in the book of Genesis. And we've been tracking the saga of Joseph for quite a while now. He is the dreamer. He has dreams from the time he's a child. He is the child of a dreamer, the child of a child of a dreamer. These dreams are certainly fueled by God and by our family's story, by the whole Torah's narrative. And there is no question that Joseph has enormous gifts. He has the capacity not just to be the channel for dreams, but to be an interpreter for dreams, to find the correct interpretation, maybe even to guide the world based on the dreams that he himself receives or the people he encounters when they share with him their dreams. Two of those dreams prompt almost the entire story of these last four parshiot, these last four portions of the Torah. And those two dreams are very famous. Either you know them from the Torah, you might know them from Andrew Lloyd Webber, or you might just know them. But they are dreams where Joseph first sees himself being bowed to by the sun, the moon, the stars, and it represents both his brothers, but it also represents his sense of self. Even if we believe that God sent the dream, it's quite powerful to see Joseph's comfort in relating the dream. And the very next dream that he can't help but share with his brothers who are already angry and resentful and jealous of him is one of sheaves of wheat bowing down to his sheaf of wheat. Again, a position of primacy. Now, on one level, the way the story goes, when Joseph ends up being second in charge to Pharaoh of Egypt, which means the entire cosmopolitan world, where everyone seeks food, nourishment because of the scarcity and famine in the world. It is true that his brothers and his father end up joining him in the palace. They live in Goshen. He is living a life of privilege, certainly, and it seems in so many ways like the dreams have been fulfilled, like it was prophecy. And in a certain sense, it was. But there's a deeper learning with which I'd like to introduce this thought, and maybe just a blessing for all of us. It is true that Joseph is in charge, and his brothers and even his father are in a lower position to him. But when it comes that time for the revelation, that he reveals who he is to his brothers who have abandoned him, who maybe have even now done tshuva, put in the same situation, they repent and do better by the new youngest brother with Benjamin. Joseph can't hold it back. And whereas before he told his brothers the dreams, and they couldn't even say hello to him. They couldn't dabro shalom. They couldn't even say, hi, how are you? Joseph ends up embracing them, weeping on them. It isn't being in charge and domineering. His posture is not the posture of that childhood dream. And in this week's Parsha, among the most ravaging parts of it is the death of Jacob. It is a beautiful final scene of a very complicated and tortured life. Jacob dies. And when Jacob dies, Joseph's brothers are concerned that he's been holding back his anger and revenge until their father would die. And so they send word to Joseph saying, our father made a promise on his deathbed that we would remind you, forgive us, we didn't do right. And Joseph's words are so beautiful. He says, V'ata al tira'u, and now don't worry, Anochi achalkel etchem v'tapchem, I'll take care of you and your children. V'nachem otam v'daber alibam. And he comforted them and spoke to their hearts. That doesn't fit the dream. Those beautiful, powerful, troubling, amazing, divine, prophetic dreams are not going to be fulfilled because the way that Joseph is with his brothers is not being bowed to. It's actually standing with, it's standing in solidarity. It's knowing that fates are intertwined and that all of the narratives of Genesis have been ones of oppression and resentment, where if I have enough of my parents' blessing, one child, you won't. And so there's competition over and over for who will be the covenantal heir, who will receive more love, more blessing, who will be the gifted one of the next generation. The big gift at the end of the book of Genesis is a new kind of suggestion where that old dream has to die. The old dream where everyone bows down to the one who will be chosen. The way forward is we all move forward. We will take care of each other. We'll cry on each other when we need. We'll forgive each other when we need. And moving forward through time, especially as our story in Egypt will get worse, but as Jewish history and world history show us, When we stand alone, there's just no love. I can't be okay if you're not. And so let's do each other this really special thing this week. As we go into the final Shabbat of the book of Genesis, the book of Breshit, as we embrace the language of VaYechi, let's make sure we go in together. Because we've had enough of competing for the love. There's more than enough to share.